I know what you're thinking. What if I don't know what to say? How can I tell my crush how I feel or ask my boss for a raise without sounding like an idiot? We live in a world of noise, of messaging, of sound. And so we've forgotten that sometimes the most powerful way to get your message across, to let people know how you feel, is through saying nothing at all. This is the power of quiet. I'm sure you can all remember as a kid when you would get into trouble and your parents said nothing. You knew they were upset, you knew they were disappointed, but they didn't shout. And sometimes that felt worse than if they were shouting. That's the power of quiet. And I believe that in today's age, we no longer value quietness. We no longer value stillness. We live in a noisy world. And so we've become obsessed with always having to post, always having to have something to say, always having to have a response, a thought, a comment on something. So we don't listen. We're always just quick to say what we have to say. And that could be in the workplace, it could be in relationships, it could be just in general conversations. We feel this urge to fill the air with noise or fill our social feeds with comments just to prove that we're there. If I'm not commenting, if I'm not saying something, then people will wonder why I'm there in a meeting or why I'm there at a table with friends if I'm not contributing. But if there's one thing I've learned throughout my career and my life, it's that some of the most interesting people I've ever met have been the quietest. They've sat back. They've listened. They haven't been quick to just chuck in a random thought. They've been selective. They've been thoughtful. They've curated their responses in a way that really conveys how they feel. You lean into that conversation. You want to engage with that person. And that's the value of quiet. It creates that balance with the noise. And because it's now such a rarity, I think people are drawn to it. And that's something that you can use in your life. And I've certainly found it a great benefit in mine. Sometimes when I sit in a meeting or I'm meeting with someone, just to sit there and listen, to absorb, to think, to resist that urge to just randomly throw in comments, to just banter back and forth. It can be really powerful. I'm lucky enough to get to speak for a living and to talk at conferences, and that's what I'm here right now preparing for. And I remember the first time I did it, and I was really nervous, and I was worried about stumbling over my words, and I spoke to a mentor of mine, and I asked him like what I should say and how I should go about it, and he said, "Don't say anything." And I didn't know what he meant. He goes, "I'm serious. Don't say anything." And he explained that through using the power of quiet, through getting up on stage and not speaking, people would actually engage more with me than if I just started to talk. And I was skeptical, but I tried it. And he was right. The most powerful talks I've ever given, the talks that have got the best response from audiences, have been the ones that have the most quiet. And I know how counterintuitive that sounds, but it's important.
Because quietness acts as a counterpoint to the noise. It balances it out. You can't have one without the other. And that's what the author Junichiro Tanizaki gets at in his book In Praise of Shadows, which he wrote in the 1930s. His argument is pretty simple. Western design assumes more light is better. Things are more visible. They're brighter. But he's arguing the opposite. Beauty appears because of the shadow, because of that counterpoint. And that's the same thing with quietness. Quietness brings out the beauty in what you say, in much the same way that the shadows bring out the beauty in the design. It brings out the meaning. And that's why your quietness should be celebrated.
I feel your pain. I was very shy as a kid, introverted. I was worried about what people would think of me. Would I mess up? Would I say the wrong thing? But since I've started to do this speaking, since I've started to communicate through using the power of quiet, I've found I'm more able to convey who I am, to convey a true sense of what I feel to the other people I interact with. And those interactions have been far more worthwhile and have given me so much more than they would have otherwise. Your quietness is an asset. Your thoughtfulness is an asset. The way that you approach things, the way that you're thoughtful and reflective and don't rush to speak to fill that space is an asset. And it's one you should celebrate. You should never be ashamed or describe yourself as, oh, I'm quiet, I'm an introvert, as though it's a negative. Own it. Be proud of who you are, because you're harnessing the power of quiet. Those people who then get the good fortune to interact with you will realize who you really are, will connect with you in a way that matters. And it's those relationships that you can build a life around. You don't have to please everybody. You just have to satisfy yourself. Make yourself comfortable. So celebrate the fact that you're thoughtful. Celebrate the fact that you're not rushing to respond. Don't feel the pressure or the need to constantly update social, to push the messages out for fear of disappearing. You won't disappear. You're you, and what you have is really powerful. I hope this video has been useful. Remember, quietness can be powerful. Be proud of that and own it. I'll see you in the next video.